The rain was falling very hard on Lagos that night. The streets were wet and dark. Zainab was working at St. Catherine's Hospital. She was a nurse. She did not have much money. Her clothes were simple and her shoes were old. But she worked with her whole heart. She wanted to help people who were sick and hurt. Zainab was 28 years old. She was born in a poor place in Lagos. Her father died when she was very young. He died from a sickness. Her mother worked very hard to raise her alone. Her mother cleaned houses for rich people. She sold food in the market. She saved money to send Zainab to school to become a nurse. Zainab loved her mother very much. She wanted to make her mother proud by helping sick people. That night at the hospital, everything changed. Around 12 o'clock, the doors of the emergency room opened fast. Men and women ran in with someone who was very hurt. It was a man. His body was broken. His clothes were torn. His face was pale and still. The doctors and nurses ran around him, speaking fast and loud. No one knew who he was at first. Then the police came in. They said this man was Tunde Okonkwo. He was a very rich man. He was a billionaire. He owned a big company called Afrotech Solutions. All the people in Lagos knew his name. His picture was in the newspapers and on the television. He was young and smart. He was born poor like many people, but he became very rich by working hard and being clever. Tunde's helicopter had crashed. He was flying over the city when there was a storm with very strong rain and wind. The helicopter fell down near the bridge. People said he was lucky to be alive. But when the doctors looked at him, they were very sad. His ribs were broken. His bones were broken in many places. He was bleeding inside his body. He had a very bad hurt in his head. The doctors said his brain was badly hurt. Soon, Tunde's mother came to the hospital. Her name was Mrs. Okonkwo. She was a strong woman with gray hair. She had raised Tunde alone after his father died. She had worked very hard to give him a good life and a good school. She saw her son lying on the bed, not moving, not talking. She cried. She held his hand and prayed to God. The head doctor talked to Mrs. Okonkwo. He said that Tunde was in a very deep sleep. It was not a normal sleep. It was called a coma. The doctor said that Tunde's brain was very hurt. The doctor said they did not know if Tunde would wake up. The doctor said he was sorry. He said they would try their best, but maybe Tunde would sleep like this forever. Mrs. Okonkwo fell on her knees. She prayed very hard. The hospital brought Tunde to a special room on the 3rd floor. Many machines were around him. The machines made sounds. They showed if Tunde's heart was still working. A nurse came to clean his wounds. A nurse came to give him medicine. A doctor came every few hours to look at him. But Tunde did not move. He did not know anything. He was somewhere far away in his sleep. On the 3rd day, the hospital gave Zainab a new job. She was told to take care of Tunde. She would be his main nurse. She would work with him every day. When Zainab heard this, she felt scared and big inside. She was just a poor nurse. Tunde was a rich and important man. But she knew she would work hard. She always worked hard. When Zainab came to Tunde's room for the first time, Mrs. Okonkwo looked at her. Mrs. Okonkwo was used to rich things and rich people. She looked at Zainab's old uniform and her worn shoes. She thought maybe this simple girl was not good enough for her son. But Zainab smiled at Mrs. Okonkwo. She said, "Do not worry, madam. I will take very good care of your son. I promise you." Her voice was calm and kind. Her eyes were honest. Zainab began her work. Every day she would come early. She would check all of Tunde's machines. She would clean his body very gently. She would change his bandages slowly and carefully. She talked to him softly. She told him about the day. She told him about what she saw and what she felt. She told him about her mother and her dreams. At night, when her work was done, Zainab would sit beside Tunde's bed. She would hold his hand. His hand was warm, but it did not move. She would speak to him about life. She told him about hope. She told him that even when things look dark, there is always light coming. She told him about her dream to open a small clinic for poor people in her neighborhood. A place where poor people could get good medicine and good care like rich people get. "Please wake up," she would whisper to him. "Please come back. The world needs you. Your mother needs you. I need you to wake up so I can tell you something very important." But Tunde did not move. He did not hear her. The machines went beep, beep, beep. And that was all. The doctors talked about Tunde in the halls. They said his case was very bad. They said they had done everything they could. They said to wait. Maybe he would wake up. Maybe he would not. Maybe he would wake up, but his brain would not work like before. They said to pray. Days became weeks. 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Zainab came to the hospital every single day. She talked to Tunde. She held his hand. She read to him from a book of Nigerian stories. She played soft music on her small phone. She never stopped. She never gave up hope even when everyone else seemed to have given up. Mrs. Okonkwo began to notice something. She noticed that her son's face was less tight when Zainab was in the room. She noticed that Zainab came even on her days off. She noticed that Zainab spoke to Tund like he could hear her. Like she believed in him. Mrs. Okonkwo began to change her mind about this poor girl with the kind heart. After 3 weeks all the doctors said the same thing. Tund might never wake up. But Zainab did not believe them. She sat by his bed and held his hand. She whispered, "I believe in you, Tund. I believe you will come back. Please come back to us. Please come back to me." And she believed this with all her heart. She did not know what would happen next. But she knew that love and hope could do things that medicine could not do. She knew this from deep inside her soul. The 4th week came slowly. The rain in Lagos stopped and the sun came back to the city. Everything looked the same, but something was changing in Tund's room. The machines that went beep 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 were making different sounds now. The doctors noticed it first. They looked at the numbers on the screens and they looked confused. They whispered to each other. One morning Dr. Adeyemi came to the room early. He was the head doctor. He looked at all the machines for a long time. He looked at the papers with the numbers. He called another doctor to come and look. The second doctor looked too. They both nodded their heads slowly. Something was happening. Tund's brain was working more than before. His heart was stronger. His body was fighting to live. When Mrs. Okonkwo heard this news, she felt something in her chest move. Hope. She had lost hope many days ago. She had cried so many tears. But now, maybe, just maybe, her son would come back to her. She held the doctor's hand. She asked, "What does this mean? Will my son wake up?" The doctor said, "We do not know yet, madam. But his body is fighting. This is a good sign." Zainab was the first one to see the real change. She came to work one morning at 6 o'clock. She always came early. She went to Tund's room and she looked at him like she always did. But this time was different. His face looked more alive. His skin looked better. The color was coming back to his cheeks. She checked the machine. His heart was beating stronger and faster than before. She felt tears come to her eyes, but happy tears this time. Every time Zainab came into the room, something special happened. The machines would show that Tund's brain was more awake. His heart would beat faster. It was like his body knew that Zainab was there. It was like some part of him, deep inside his sleep, could feel her. The other nurses saw this too. They talked about it. They said it was strange. They said it was beautiful. Mrs. Okonkwo watched Zainab work. She watched how the young nurse touched her son's hand so gently. She watched how Zainab spoke to Tund like he was awake and listening. She watched how Zainab's eyes looked at her son with so much care and so much love. Mrs. Okonkwo began to understand something. This girl was not just a nurse doing her job. This girl had given her son something very important. She had given him a reason to fight. She had given him hope. One afternoon, Mrs. Okonkwo sat down next to Zainab in the hallway outside Tund's room. Zainab was drinking tea and looking tired. She had worked very hard that day. Mrs. Okonkwo said, "Young lady, I want to talk to you about my son." Zainab looked scared. She thought maybe she had done something wrong. But Mrs. Okonkwo smiled. "I want to thank you," the old woman said. "You have given my son something that I could not give him. You have given him hope." Zainab did not know what to say. Her eyes filled with tears. Mrs. Okonkwo took her hand. "My son is a rich man," Mrs. Okonkwo said. "He has everything. But he did not have someone who believed in him the way you believe in him. In his sleep he can feel your love. I know this. I am his mother. I can feel it too." Zainab cried then. Real tears came down her face. Mrs. Okonkwo held her and did not say anything. Sometimes saying nothing is better than saying many words. After this day, Mrs. Okonkwo began to sit with Zainab in Tund's room. She saw how the young nurse worked. She saw how Zainab held her son's hand and spoke to him about life. Zainab told Tund about her dreams. She told him about the clinic she wanted to build. She told him about how poor people in Lagos needed good doctors and good medicine. She told him about her mother who was waiting at home, praying for him every day. "Your mother prays for you too," Zainab said one day. "She sits at home and she prays. She believes that you will come back. And I believe it too. I believe it so much that sometimes I can see it. I can see you waking up and looking at me and smiling. I can see it like it is real." Her voice was soft and strong at the same time. Mrs. Okonkwo, sitting in the corner, cried quiet tears. Zainab came to the hospital every single day. Even on her days off she came. She did not get paid extra. The hospital did not ask her to come. But she came because Tun needed her. She came because she had made a promise in her heart. The promise was to bring him back to life. The promise was to show him that there was someone who believed in him. Someone who loved him. Someone who would fight for him. Other nurses asked Zainab, "Why do you work so much? Why do you not rest?" Zainab said, "How can I rest when someone is sleeping and does not know how to wake up? How can I rest when there is so much hope?" The other nurses did not understand at first. But then they began to see what Zainab saw. They began to feel what Zainab felt. They began to believe too. In the 4th week the machines showed big changes. Tun's brain was waking up bit by bit. His body was getting stronger. The doctors said this was a miracle. They said they did not know how this could happen. They said they had seen many cases like Tun's and most people did not wake up. But Tun was different. Tun had something that other people did not have. He had Zainab. One night, Zainab was reading poetry to Tun. She read from a book by a Nigerian poet named Wole Soyinka. The words were beautiful. The words were about hope and about fighting and about love. As she read, Tun's fingers moved. Just a little bit. Just for 1 second. But they moved. Zainab stopped reading. She looked at his hand. She held her breath. His fingers moved again. This time they moved more. They moved like they were trying to hold her hand. Zainab called the doctor. She was shaking. She could not believe what she saw. The doctor came fast. The doctor looked at Tund. The doctor checked all the machines. The doctor smiled. "His brain is waking up," the doctor said. "This is very good. This is very good." Zainab held Tund's hand. She cried and she laughed at the same time. She whispered, "Come back, Tund. Come back to us. I am here. I am waiting for you." Mrs. Okonkwo came to the hospital that night. Someone called her and told her the news. She came fast. She saw Zainab sitting by her son's bed. She saw her son's hand holding Zainab's hand. It was small but it was real. It was life. It was hope. Mrs. Okonkwo put her hand on both of them. All 3 of them sat together in the quiet room. The machines made their sounds. But now the sound seemed like music. The sound seemed like hope. The 4th week ended with Tun's body fighting back. The doctors did not know how to explain it. They said it was a miracle. But Zainab knew what it was. It was love. It was belief. It was one person who did not give up when everyone else gave up. It was one person who looked at someone sleeping and saw not death but life. It was one person who was brave enough to believe in hope when hope seemed impossible. The morning came slowly to Lagos. The sun was yellow and bright. Birds were singing in the trees outside the hospital. Zainab came to work early like she always did. She brought a book with her. It was a book by a famous Nigerian writer named Chinua Achebe. The book was called Things Fall Apart. It was a story about Africa and about people and about life. Zainab loved this book. She wanted to read it to Tund. Zainab sat down beside Tund's bed. She held his hand. She felt the warmth of his skin. His hand was still and quiet, but it was warm. She opened the book slowly. She began to read. Her voice was soft and calm. She read about the main character. She read about his life and his family. She read about how things change and how life is not always easy. As she read, she spoke the words like a prayer. Like each word was a wish for Tund to come back. The morning was very quiet in the hospital. Most people were sleeping. The nurses in other rooms were busy with other patients. Tund's room was silent except for the sound of Zainab's voice and the beep 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 of the machines. Zainab read for a long time. She turned page after page. She did not stop. She read like her voice was the only thing keeping Tund alive. Like her words were a bridge from his dark sleep to the light of the world. It was around 6 o'clock in the morning. The sun was just coming up over Lagos. The light was pink and orange in the sky. Zainab was reading about an important moment in the book. Her voice was becoming more strong. She was reading with all her heart. And then something happened. Something magical. Something that changed everything. Tund's eyes moved. Just a little bit. Just under his closed eyelids. Zainab saw it. She stopped reading for 1 second. She watched his face very carefully. His eyes moved again. And then, slowly, very slowly, his eyes began to open. The eyelids came up bit by bit. It was like the sun coming up over the horizon. It was like life coming back into the world. Zainab could not breathe. She could not move. She watched as Tund's eyes opened more and more. His eyes were looking at the ceiling. They were not seeing anything at first. But then, slowly, slowly, his eyes began to move. They began to look around the room. They began to see. And then his eyes moved down. And his eyes found Zainab's face. When Tund's eyes saw Zainab, something happened in his body. His whole body moved. Not much, but enough. His fingers twitched. His hand moved. His body was waking up. His mind was coming back from the deep dark place where it had been sleeping for so long. And the first thing his eyes saw was Zainab's face. The first thing his mind thought about was Zainab. Tears came down Zainab's face. Not sad tears. Happy tears. So many tears that she could not see clearly. She leaned close to Tun's face. She whispered, "You came back. You came back. Oh, thank God you came back." Her voice shook. Her whole body shook. She was shaking because she could not believe what was happening. She was shaking because all the hope and all the love and all the prayers had worked. Tun's mouth opened. He tried to speak. His voice was very quiet and very weak. His throat was dry from many days of not speaking. But he tried. He opened his mouth and he made a sound. It was not clear. It was not a word yet. But it was a sound. It was the sound of life. It was the sound of someone coming back. "Zainab," he whispered. Her name. The first word he said was her name. Not his mother's name. Not the doctor's name. Zainab. Her name was the first word that came from his lips when he woke up. Zainab heard her name and she cried more. She cried so much that her tears fell on his face. She held his hand and she cried. She said, "Yes, yes, I am here. I am right here. You are awake. You came back. I knew you would come back. I knew it." Tun's eyes looked at her. His eyes were moving slowly like they were learning how to see again. But his eyes stayed on her face. His eyes would not look away. Like her face was the most important thing in the world. Like her face was the reason he came back. Zainab called for the doctors. She called loud. She said, "Doctor. Doctor. He is awake. He is awake." Nurses came running. Doctors came running. They came fast. They came with worried faces. They came to check all the machines. They came to look at Tund. When they saw his open eyes, they stopped. They looked surprised. Some of them smiled. Some of them looked like they could not believe what they were seeing. The head doctor, Dr. Adeyemi, came close to Tund. He looked at his eyes. He said, "Tund, can you hear me?" Tund did not answer the doctor. His eyes were still on Zainab. The doctor looked at where Tund was looking. The doctor saw Zainab. The doctor smiled a big smile. He understood. He understood everything. "What is your name?" the doctor asked Tund. Tund's mouth moved. His voice was very weak and very quiet. He said the word again. "Zainab," he whispered. The doctors looked at each other. One doctor said, "That is interesting. That is the name of his nurse. That is the first word he speaks after his coma." Another doctor said, "Love is very powerful. Love can do things that science cannot do." Mrs. Okonkwo came to the room. Someone had called her and told her that her son was awake. She came very fast. When she saw Tund's open eyes, she screamed. She screamed with joy. She held her son's other hand. She kissed his forehead. She said, my son, you came back. Thank God you came back." Tund looked at his mother. He knew her. His eyes showed that he knew her. But his hand held Zainab's hand tighter. For the next hour the doctors checked everything. They looked at his brain. They looked at his heart. They looked at his bones. Everything was working. Slowly, but everything was working. The doctor said, "This is a miracle. We do not see this very often. Most people who are in a coma like this do not wake up." But Tund woke up. And he woke up with his mind working. This is wonderful. The sun came up higher in the sky. The room was full of bright yellow light. Zainab sat beside Tund's bed. She held his hand. She did not let go. She could not let go. Tund's eyes looked at her. He wanted to say more. He wanted to say thank you. He wanted to say he loved her. But his voice was too weak. His body was too tired. So he just looked at her. And she understood everything his eyes were saying. Mrs. Okonkwo stood at the window. She looked out at Lagos waking up. She looked out at the sun and the sky and the people starting their day. She said a prayer. She thanked God. She thanked God for bringing her son back. She thanked God for Zainab. She understood now that love is stronger than sickness. Love is stronger than death. Love can do what nothing else can do. 2 weeks after Tund woke up, the hospital wanted to move him to a special place. It was a place for rich people. It was a place where he could get better care. The doctors there were very famous. They had many machines. They had many nurses. But when the doctors told Tund about this place, he said no. He said he would not go unless Zainab came with him. Mrs. Okonkwo was confused. She said, "My son, this new place is better. The doctors there are the best in Nigeria. They can help you get strong again." But Tund shook his head. He said, "I will not go unless Zainab is there. I will only get better if Zainab is my nurse. The other family members were very confused. They did not understand. They thought maybe the coma had hurt his brain. They thought maybe he was not thinking clearly. But Mrs. Okonkwo understood. She smiled. She said to her son, "Okay, my son. Zainab will come with you." She went to find Zainab. She told Zainab that Tund wanted her to be his nurse in the new place. Zainab was shocked. She said, "Madam, I am just a simple nurse. I work here at the hospital. I do not work in fancy places." Mrs. Okonkwo took her hand. She said, "My son trusts you. And I trust you. Please come with us." Zainab went with them. At the new place it was very different from the hospital. It was beautiful. It was clean and bright. There were windows that looked out at Lagos. But Tund did not care about the beautiful place. He only cared about Zainab being there. Every day he asked for Zainab. Every day he wanted to talk to her. As Tund got stronger, he and Zainab talked for many hours. They sat together and they told each other their stories. Tund told Zainab about his life. He told her about when he was young and poor. He told her about living in Ikoyi in a small house with his mother. He told her how his father died when he was a boy, just like Zainab's father died. "My mother worked very hard," Tund said. "She cleaned houses. She sold food. She gave me everything. I wanted to make her proud. I wanted to show her that her hard work was worth something. So I worked very hard in school. I was always the best student. Then I went to university. I studied computers and business. I was good at it." Tund told Zainab how he started his first business. He said, "I opened a small internet cafe. I had no money. I borrowed money from my mother's friends. I worked there every single day. I cleaned the floor. I fixed the computers. I helped people use the internet. Slowly people came. More and more people came. I made money. I used that money to start another business. Then another. Then another. Now I have Afrotech Solutions." Zainab listened to every word. She understood now how Tund became rich. He became rich because he worked hard. He became rich because he did not give up. He became rich because he wanted to make his mother proud. It was not different from why Zainab became a nurse. They both wanted to help people. They both wanted to make their mothers proud. Then Zainab told Tund her story. She told him about her mother. She told him about how her mother cleaned houses and sold food in the market. She told him about how her mother saved money for her school. She told him about how her mother believed in her and never let her give up. "I want to open a clinic," Zainab said. "A clinic for poor people. A place where people who do not have much money can get good medicine and good help. I want to build this clinic in my neighborhood. My mother lives there. Many poor people live there. They get sick and they cannot go to the doctor because the doctor costs too much money. I want to fix this." Tund listened to her dream. He listened to her voice. He watched her face as she spoke. He fell in love with her more and more with every word she said. He understood that Zainab was like him. They both wanted to help people. They both wanted to make the world better. They both came from nothing and wanted to become something that could help others. One evening, 3 weeks after Tund woke up, they sat on a big balcony. They could see all of Lagos from where they sat. The city was beautiful at night. The lights were shining. The buildings were glowing like gold. The streets were full of people and cars. The sky was dark blue with stars. Zainab and Tund sat together and watched the city. They did not talk. They just watched. The wind was warm and it felt nice on their skin. Tund reached over and took Zainab's hand. She did not pull away. She held his hand back. Then Tund said something that changed everything. He said, "You saved my life. Not the doctors. Not the medicine. Not the machines. You saved my life, Zainab." Zainab did not say anything. She just looked at the city and held his hand. Tund continued. "When I was sleeping in that dark place, I heard your voice. I heard you talking to me. I heard you reading to me. I heard you praying for me. Your voice was like a light in the darkness. Your voice was like a rope pulling me back to life. I do not know how I know this, but I know it. I know that you saved me." Zainab's eyes filled with tears. She said, "I did not save you. You saved yourself. You had the strength inside you. I just gave you a reason to use that strength. I just believed in you when you could not believe in yourself." Tund turned and looked at her. He looked at her face in the city lights. He said, "Zainab, I love you. I know this is fast. I know I just woke up. But I know what I feel. I love you. I have never felt this before. When I was sleeping, I dreamed about you. I did not know your name, but I dreamed about a girl who loved me. A girl who believed in me. And that girl was you." Zainab cried. She cried happy tears. She said, I love you too, Tund. I loved you when you were sleeping. I loved you before you woke up. I loved you when everyone said you would never come back. I have never felt this before either. Mrs. Okonkwo was watching from the window. She saw them together. She saw Tund holding Zainab's hand. She saw them looking at the city lights together. She smiled. She smiled because she understood that her son had been saved not by doctors, but by love. She understood that when two people love each other truly, nothing can stop them. Not sickness. Not death. Not anything. The other family members were still confused. But Mrs. Okonkwo explained to them. She said, Zainab saved my son's life. She gave him a reason to come back. Now we must accept her as part of our family, because she is part of what makes my son alive. That night, Tund and Zainab sat under the stars and watched the city lights. They held each other. They felt happy. They felt like they had found something that was lost for a very long time. They felt like they had found home in each other's hearts. 3 months after Tund woke up, he was strong again. His bones were healed. His body was healed. His mind was clear and sharp. The doctor said it was a miracle. They said they had never seen anyone recover so fast from such a bad accident. But Tund knew the real reason. The reason was love. The reason was Zainab. Tund went back to his office. He went back to running Afrotech Solutions. But now his life was different. He was different. He did not care about making more money. He did not care about being rich and famous. He cared about helping people. He cared about Zainab's dream. One day Tund called Zainab to his office. It was a big office high up in a tall building in Lagos. The windows looked out at the whole city. Zainab came in and she felt small in this big place. Tund smiled at her. He said, Zainab, I want to do something. I want to build clinics. I want to build them in the poor neighborhoods. I want them to be free for poor people. I want to do this with you. Zainab could not believe what she was hearing. She said, Tund, this will cost so much money. This will be very expensive. Tund said, I have a lot of money, and I want to use it for something that matters. I want to use it to help people like your mother. People like my mother. People who worked so hard and had nothing. They started to plan. They decided to call it the Adelik Okafor Foundation. Adelik was Tund's last name. Okafor was Zainab's last name. Together they would help people. They found the best builders. They found the best doctors. They found the best nurses. They started to build the first clinic. The first clinic was built in Zainab's neighborhood. It was built near where her mother lived. It was a beautiful building. It was clean and bright. It had many rooms. It had good medicine. It had good doctors. It had good nurses. And it was free for poor people. Anyone who could not pay could come and get help. When the clinic opened, so many people came. Mothers came with sick children. Old people came who had never seen a doctor before. Young people came who were hurt or sick. They all came because they could get help and they did not have to pay. Zainab worked there. She was the head nurse. She helped everyone with a big smile. Zainab's mother came to the opening of the clinic. She cried when she saw it. She cried because her daughter had made her dream come true. She cried because now poor people like her could get good medicine. She held Zainab and she said, My daughter, you have made me so proud. Your father would be so proud. You have done what you said you would do. Tund and Zainab built more clinics. 1 clinic, 2 clinics, 3 clinics, 4 clinics. Each one was in a poor neighborhood. Each one helped thousands of people. Doctors from rich hospitals came to work there because they wanted to help. Nurses came to work there because they wanted to help. Students came to learn because they wanted to help. The story of Tund and Zainab became famous in Lagos. Newspapers wrote about them. Television showed them on the news. People talked about them in the markets and in the streets. They called them the couple who loved each other and loved people. They called them the couple who had changed Lagos. 1 year after Tund woke up from his coma, he had a plan. He wanted to ask Zainab to marry him. But he wanted to ask her in a special place. He wanted to ask her in the place where everything started. The place where Zainab had held his hand and brought him back to life. The place was the rooftop of St. Catherine's Hospital. Tund planned everything carefully. He told Zainab to meet him there. He said, I want to show you something. Please come to the rooftop of the hospital at sunset. Zainab did not know what he wanted. She thought maybe he wanted to look at the city and talk about more clinics. But she came. When Zainab got to the rooftop, she saw that it was beautiful. There were lights everywhere. Small lights that looked like stars. There were flowers. There was soft music playing. And there was Tund, standing in the middle of everything, looking at her with eyes full of love. Zainab did not understand what was happening. She walked slowly to Tund. He took her hands. He looked into her eyes. He said, Zainab, 1 year ago I was sleeping. I was in darkness. I did not know if I would ever wake up. But you came. You held my hand. You spoke to me. You believed in me. You saved my life. Zainab cried. She said, Tund, stop. You saved yourself. But Tund held her hands tighter. He said, no. You saved me. And now, I want to spend the rest of my life with you. I want to make you happy. I want to help you help people. I want to be with you forever. Then Tund got down on one knee. Zainab gasped. She put her hand over her mouth. She could not believe what was happening. Tund took out a ring. It was made of Nigerian gold. It had a beautiful diamond. It was the most beautiful ring Zainab had ever seen. Tund said, Zainab, will you marry me? Will you be my wife? Will you help me build a life of love and helping people? Will you? Zainab cried so much. She could not speak. She just nodded. She nodded yes, yes, yes. Tund put the ring on her finger. Then he stood up and he held her. He held her tight. He said, I love you. I love you so much. The sun was going down over Lagos. The sky was orange and pink and yellow. The city lights were coming on. The city was beautiful. Zainab and Tund stood together and watched the sun go down. They held each other. They were so happy. 1 year later they got married. They got married at a beautiful place. Many people came. Tund's family came. Zainab's family came. The doctors and nurses from the hospital came. The people from the clinics came. So many people came to celebrate their love. Zainab wore a white dress. It was beautiful. Tund wore a white suit. They looked like angels. When they got married, everyone cried. Everyone was happy. Mrs. Okonkwo cried. Zainab's mother cried. They cried because they knew that Tund and Zainab had something very special. They had found true love. After many years, Tund and Zainab had children. They had a boy and a girl. They told their children the story of how they met. They told them about the coma. They told them about how love saved a life. They told them that the most important thing in the world is not money. The most important thing is love. The most important thing is helping people. Tund and Zainab built 10 clinics. Then 20 clinics. The Adali Kokafor Foundation became very famous. People came from other countries to learn about what they were doing. They wanted to do the same thing in their countries. But Tund and Zainab did not care about being famous. They cared about helping people. They cared about their love. They cared about their children. They cared about their mothers. They lived a simple life even though Tund was very rich. They gave their money to help people. They gave their time to help people. They gave their love to help people. Years and years passed. When Tund was old and Zainab was old, they sat together and looked at the city of Lagos. They held each other's hands. They remembered the day when Tund was in a coma. They remembered the day when he woke up. They remembered all the good things they had done together. Tund said to Zainab, "Thank you for saving my life." Zainab said to Tund, "Thank you for showing me that love is stronger than anything." They held each other and they were happy. They were happy because they had a life full of love. They were happy because they had helped so many people. They were happy because they had found each other. Their love story became a legend in Lagos. People told the story to their children. People said that a poor nurse and a rich man fell in love and changed the world. People said that true wealth is not money. True wealth is the love you give to others. True wealth is helping people. True wealth is love.